Remember the time when pop-up selfie cameras first became a thing? Yep, that was Vivo, all the way back in 2000 and... wait, that was last year. And over the last year, we've seen a whole bunch of pop-ups from different brands. Oppo, Xiaomi, OnePlus, and it doesn't quite seem like that trend is going away. In fact, Vivo's latest mid-range smartphone has a pop-up module with 2 selfie cameras. But is that enough for you to want to upgrade? Hi, I'm Michael Josh, you're watching GadgetMatch. This is our Vivo V17 Pro unboxing and review. Let's get on with the unboxing. Depending on where you are in the world, it will either come in a white box or a black box. Today we're unboxing the 8+128GB model, possibly the phone's only variant. From these outlines alone, you can already see that dual selfie pop-up we described, and 4 more cameras on the back for a total of 6. Exciting, right? Lift on this cover, more V17 Pro branding. Wow, there's a lot in here. USB-C cable, manuals and warranty, a SIM ejector tool, and a plastic case. If you get the black phone, you get a black case, and if you get a white phone, you get a white case. Now, I'm not really a fan of these cases. They're really tough to snap on and even harder to remove. Next, it's the V17 Pro all wrapped up, but we'll set it aside for now. There's still more inside, wired earphones, and a charging rig. Okay, that's about it. Let's get back to the V17 Pro. Slide it out of its wrapper. This color is called Night Black. But I also got Crystal Sky, which is more of a pearl finish with a blue trim around it. Unlike previous years, the back of the V17 Pro is made of real glass now, instead of that glass-like polycarbonate we saw a few months back. The phone feels more manageable in the hands and more balanced because the camera elements are now center-aligned. Button and port layout is pretty much the same, except for the fact that the SIM card slot has no provisions for an extra micro SD card. If you've seen my V15 video, you'll understand why this next bit is not an exaggeration. The V17 Pro has a USB-C port. Thank you, Vivo. My introduction to Vivo began in 2016 when I first reviewed the V3 Max in India. I've been a fan of the V series ever since because they represented a need of the developing market, the need for a solid mid-range smartphone. I wouldn't call them a flagship killer per se, but at around $300, they were exactly the phone that was easy to recommend to the price-sensitive consumer. 3 years later, and the V series has been through many iterations. Last February, we reviewed the V15 Pro. You can click over here to watch that, but I can also give you an executive summary. That phone brought many of the high-end features that Vivo had introduced into an affordable mid-ranger. Things like an under-display fingerprint scanner and a borderless display, but all that is pretty commonplace now. So what does the new V17 Pro have to offer? Mostly an iterative update for the latter half of 2019, the V17 Pro offers the same all-screen experience as its predecessor. It's got a notchless 6.4-inch Full HD Plus AMOLED display, just a tiny bit larger compared to the V15 Pro. But Vivo claims it's now tougher with a strengthened glass that's supposed to withstand drops. But I'm not going to be the one to test that claim out for you. The under-display fingerprint scanner is still there and is as fast as I remember the V15 Pro to be. Its battery is slightly larger too, but doesn't come with Vivo's super flash charge technology, just the same one as last year. Looks like Vivo is saving that tech for its higher-end phones like the Nex 3, which we actually reviewed. You can click over here to watch that video. In our test, the phone lasted a full day of heavy use, charging speeds were average, a 40% charge from zero in 30 minutes. Internally, it's pretty much the same phone. It still runs the same Snapdragon 675 SoC with the same amount of RAM and storage. That's not necessarily a bad thing. The phone renders graphics smoothly and handles gaming with no hiccups. Titles like Asphalt 9 and Mobile Legends ran smoothly. If we were to nitpick, stereo speakers would have been nice. Use earphones for a more immersive experience. Of course, the biggest change to the phone are its 6 cameras. 4 on the back and 2 up front. Over here we have a 48 megapixel main sensor, telephoto lens, ultra-wide-angle camera, and depth sensor. Let's take a look at some sample photos. Colors are rich and vibrant, while HDR processing doesn't go overboard. Our favorite lens would probably be the ultra-wide-angle lens, as it brings a fresh and more professional look when shooting landscapes or structures. The dedicated depth sensor produces decent bokeh, but still fails to give that perfect cutout when it comes to people's hair. So I ask myself, do we really need that fourth camera, that dedicated depth sensor? Does it have a practical use, or is it there just as a marketing tool to be able to say, this phone has 6 cameras? At night, photos look decent with minimal artifacts, which is always a good thing in our book, but don't expect it to perform as good as any of the low-light champs out there. Of course, the more exciting bit is probably the dual pop-up selfie camera, which we haven't seen on any other phone in the market today. The module is about 1 inch thick with the 2 cameras spaced about 1 centimeter apart. You have both a 32 megapixel camera and an 8 megapixel wide-angle lens. When you launch the selfie camera, the app defaults to the standard lens, and to get to the ultra-wide-angle camera, press the bokeh icon, and then ultra-wide-angle. I have no idea why they make such a big deal out of those 2 selfie cameras and then keep that feature tucked away. But they're very wide, wider even than on the Pixel 3. As can be expected from Vivo phones, there are a host of beautification options in portrait mode, if that's your cup of tea. They've also added a feature called Super Night Selfie, which does a long exposure on portrait selfies. Here are a few photos we took. Is the V17 Pro from Vivo your gadget match? At around $400 converted, it's hard to recommend this phone, especially if you take into consideration the markets where it is meant to be most relevant. Markets like the Philippines, India, and Indonesia. Because in these markets, there are more competitive phones that offer more for less. The Redmi K20 Pro, also known as the Xiaomi Mi 9T Pro, come with the top-of-the-line processor, fast charging, and better camera performance across the board. The new cameras on the V17 Pro are a cool feature to talk about, but honestly, the depth camera on its rear offers no real benefit, and its second ultra-wide-angle selfie camera is unnecessary. They could have just put a wide camera up front, and it would have been just as nice. So, for the first time ever on the V series, the V17 Pro does not get the GadgetMatch seal of approval. I say, skip this iterative update. Vivo needs to either lower its prices or offer more value and less gimmicks. If you're on a budget, consider the Xiaomi Mi 9T Pro. Still my favorite budget phone. And I know I have yet to do a video on that phone. Maybe it'll come soon, so to make sure you don't miss any of that, subscribe to our YouTube channel, hit that bell icon so that you get notified every time we post a new video. Follow us on social media for all the behind-the-scenes fun stuff. And as always, make GadgetMatch.com your daily habit. Until the next video, I'm Michael Josh. Thanks for dropping by.